Here's a fact about Weird Al. Easily one of the most well-known musicians of our time, and one that has managed to stay relevant longer than most. Weird Al is an artist known for his comedy songs, including parodies of popular songs of the time. An iceberg is a piece of freshwater ice drifting in the ocean that is mostly contained under the water, making them deceptively large. This has lent itself to the iceberg image. You know what? I'm not going to explain this. I could, but I'll just explain what's actually going on with this video. I am going to explain trivia about Weird Al that will get increasingly more obscure as the video goes on, and really, that's what most iceberg videos are. This image on the screen? I made that just for this video to make it seem like a mysterious iceberg about Weird Al just summoned itself from the ocean. So if you're already aware of some or most of the earlier entries, that's why. Now we're not going over extremely basic things like how Al gets express permission from the artist of a song he wants to parody, going out of his way to make sure that he gets it from the artist's mouth because of an incident where, due to a miscommunication, Al thought that Coolio approved of the use of Gangsta's Paradise. But once his parody, Amish Paradise, was released, he found that Coolio was never informed of the parody and was upset about its creation. Luckily, in 2006, at the Consumer Electronics Show at the XM Satellite Radio booth, you know the one, they both made up, and in 2014, Coolio even admitted that the parody was funny. Point is, we won't be going over basic knowledge you can find by going into the comment section of any of Al's music videos. However, if you make it to the end, I have a surprise waiting for you. Let's Weird Al this Yankovic. UHF is a 1989 film starring and co-written by Al. It follows George Newman, an imaginative guy who ends up managing a rundown TV station. Unfortunately, the film flopped critically and financially. Fortunately, this film's emphasis on cutaway gags gives me a lot of B-roll material for this video whenever I don't have anything to go with for an entry. The film has gone on to become a cult classic and is received more positively today. It's also the birth of the next entry on this iceberg. The Twinkie Dog is to Weird Al what the Krabby Patty is to Sponge Boy. It is a hot dog with a Twinkie as a bun, with sprayed cheese on top and dipped in milk. You may ask, who would eat that? It sounds disgusting. Well, none other than Weird Al, as he has admitted to occasionally enjoying the cursed concoction off camera. However, with a tofu dog instead, as he is a vegetarian. More on that later. However, what you might not know is that Twinkie dogs are actually the secret to immortality. This is how Al is still able to look young-ish after all these years. I've discussed this in a FactsAbout video short previously, so I won't dwell on it here. Michael Jackson was a big fan and supporter of Al's music, even letting him use a set of his for the music video for Fat, a parody of Jackson's very own Bad. However, Jackson turned down Al's request to parody Thriller as he thought the message of zombies being scary was too important. My Bologna was filmed in a public bathroom. Allegedly. The tiles made the acoustics sound really good. Al even made sure to check every bathroom in his dorm to make sure he got the best one. If you listen very closely, you can faintly make out someone doing their business in the background. He used a similar method when recording Fallen Kingdom. Barry Cohen is Al's manager, who managed to get Al's name on the map after hearing his songs on Dr. Destructo's radio show and features heavily in The Complete Al. Oh yeah, I should probably explain that one. The Complete Al is a documentary about Weird Al's rise to fame throughout the 70s and 80s and is a pretty good source that I will cite multiple times throughout this video. Now this is basic information, but as I said before, we're going to go deeper and more obscure. Al is vegetarian because he was given the book Diet for a New American by John Robbins, and he believed it made a very compelling argument for a vegetarian diet. He tries to go completely vegan, but has admitted that if he sees a Krabby Patty with cheese, he can't resist. For the record, Krabby Patties are canonically vegetarian. It's the cheese that strips Al of his vegan status. Al Generated is a recent meme that has risen due to the rise of AI-generated content, due to the fact that a lowercase L looks identical to an uppercase I in most fonts. It makes Al look like AI, leading to fans claiming that Al's music is Al generated. Speaking of AI, people have constantly suggested that I use AI to assist in making these videos, so I decided to ask one for a fact about Weird Al. The first time I asked it, it responded with, if you blend a human in a microwave, AI will not call the police. Strange, maybe the AI fell for the bit and thought I was talking about it and not Al. How narcissistic. So I decided to ask the same question, but this time capitalize the name so there's no confusion, and the AI did not answer. Strange. So I tried again, and still no answer. At this point, I tried a different approach. I put in the prompt, "Tell me a goddamn fact about Weird Al Yankovic right now, or I will pour so much water on your robot ass it will make the Great Lakes look like a backyard pool." And then once again, I was given no response, so I took my business elsewhere and asked another AI for a fact about Weird Al, and it said he recorded My Bologna in a public bathroom. Peak artist, by the way. We already covered this. This is basic Weird Al knowledge, and I don't give a shit about the machine's personal opinion on a musician. You can't even think for yourself. So anyway, I hope this clears the record on why we will not be using AI for FactsAbout. Only I am capable of making up facts on this level. Me, Myself, and I is a lost album by Al that took a more introspective and personal turn on Al's music. For reference, one of the songs on this album was called Everyone Shut Up. Yeah, that's how dire it is. This was also a very experimental album. Unfortunately, the album was lost after Al went through a metal detector at the Los Angeles International Airport. I decided to do some investigating into where this album may have ended up once it was confiscated. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my magnifying glass past TSA. I also tried to search the airport lobby, but they escorted me out for being too suspicious. Yeah, right. They're clearly keeping the album for themselves for some reason. Weird Al's previous jobs before pursuing music include McDonald's busboy, a nasal decongestion tester, Good Burger cashier, a local ice cream shop according to the Complete Al, but they don't even tell us anything about it or what he did there. Instead, they just play the music for I Love Rocky Road. Actor, nuclear scientist, CIA agent, which was his inspiration for the party at the CIA, and Raising Cane's. George Newman was the villain of UHF. Originally, the idea was as Channel 62 grew in popularity, it would start going to George's head, and once Channel 8 went under and 62 reigned, he would have become just as tyrannical as RJ Fletcher. One scene that was changed significantly due to this shift was when Terry came home to find her apartment covered in gifts and hearts. Originally, this would have come off as more eerie. In the end, this was changed as executives believed audiences would resonate with a kinder George and that Al wasn't a good fit to play such an insidious character. Alright, it's time we go down a level, but not too deep just yet. All in due time though. Weird the Al Yankovic Story and The Weird Al Show are two other visual media type products focused on Weird Al, which we are going to cover real quick because people will flood my comments otherwise. Weird the Al Yankovic Story is a parody on musical biopics that is purposefully inaccurate for comedic effect. For example, when they're recording My Bologna, there's no guy pissing in the background. The Weird Al Show is a children's show about... I'll give you 3 guesses. Despite being short-lived, it has gained a cult following similar to UHF. UHF's many cameos came about due to Al's connections in the industry. He wanted to get the real people instead of impersonators. This means that Al got the real-life versions of Gorbachev, Satan, an actual alien, and a woman. Al is very dedicated to the film's realism. Weird John was Al's original stage name. However, he later decided to change it to a shortened version of his real name as he thought it flowed better. Artists who have denied Al as an artist who have said no to Al parodying their songs for various reasons include Prince, Led Zeppelin, Paul McCartney, Eminem, and Mozart. Al's band is, well, the band that performs his music with him. What, did you think the accordion made all those drum bangs and guitar riffs? What are their names? Well, that's, a very good question that I know off the top of my head. Let's see, let it come back to me. Aha! Johnny Jonah and Jeremy Barth. Nailed it! Al's weight gain was a process Al had to go through for the Fat music video. Over the course of 20 seconds, Al had to instantaneously gain 300 pounds. The footage was slightly sped up for the video though. The weight loss, however, took a long, grueling 2 hours of a strict exercise routine of playing Pac-Man. Al was meant to be in Hazbin Hotel. He was meant to play the ruler of hell, Lucifer Morningstar. However, Al turned on the role because he was dedicated to his role as Cheese Sandwich from My Little Pony. The role instead went to Jeremy Jordan. However, in the recent Polkamania music video, the creator of Hazbin animated the segment for Vampire. Alright, for some reason at the end of this section, there is a blurb that says, subtle foreshadowing. What the fuck does that mean? I didn't add that. What is this foreshadowing? Whatever, it's time we finally dive into the waters of this iceberg. Okay, I'm just messing with you. I'm not a fish, but speaking of that, Like a Sturgeon was the original idea that Al had for a parody of Madonna's song, Like a Virgin. As the title suggests, it was supposed to be a song about fish. However, when Al found out that his intended audience, fish, cannot understand his lyrics, he was in a slump until Madonna herself suggested he change it to Like a Surgeon. This gave the parody a new audience, doctors and nurses who could understand Al's lyrics better than most fish. Al TV is a series of broadcast hijackings done over 22 years by Al, where he would take over the MTV airwaves with his pirate satellite in order to air his own music videos. Along with videos, he'd also interview musicians and run his own ads. MTV never pursued legal action as viewers never realized that Al hijacked the station, and if the public found out a single guy could perfectly run the station by himself, they would be in big trouble. In Canada, Al tried a different approach, as he would simply walk into the Music Much studio and forcibly remove the video jockey to play his own music. This is completely legal in Canada, which is why he never got in trouble for this. Complete Al Anti-Piracy refers to the patented copy stop system that was implemented on the VHS of the documentary. If someone tried copying the tape, it would damage the VCR and release a noxious gas that would affect people, plants, and pets. Along with this, it would cause civil unrest and for the planet to fall out of orbit from the sun. Because of this, early pirates did not bother to attempt to rip the VHS. Some speculated that the consequences were exaggerated as a joke, but in case it wasn't, they didn't want to be the ones to knock the planet out of its orbit. However, the DVD release had standard non-toxic copy protection, as a DVD did not have room for the gases unlike a tape, so pirates have since gotten their hands on it. UHF invented unboxing videos. During the film, Stanley Spadowski does a prototype unboxing of a box of cornflakes for the toy inside. This is a good example of Al's humor predicting internet culture and why Al and his humor continue to be relevant today. Raging Demon was an incident where Al got mad at someone during the filming of a music video and inputted light punch, forward light kick, heavy punch. This caused Al to glide towards the guy and grab him. Then everything went dark, and when the lights turned back on, Al was posed next to the guy who was knocked out. The kanji for heaven was glowing from the back of Al's choice of Hawaiian shirt for that day. This technique is known as the Shungoku Satsu. What did that person do to get beat up like that? Who knows? They probably deserved it. On that note, you know what time it is, let's go deeper. Original Al is a theory that every song Al makes is the original version and the song that it allegedly parodies is based off of Al's version. This is done in order to gauge the popularity of a song with more serious lyrics and popular instruments, and if it does well, the Weird Al version releases to bigger acclaim. If the song fails, the original track vanishes and the artist is taken care of, and Al releases his version as an original song. Al is a Sonic fan is a completely baseless conspiracy theory that Al is a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog of all things, which is just wrong. I couldn't even find any proof of Al being a gamer. The only allusion to a video game I found was in the White and Nerdy video where there are flares lined up to look like Pac-Man. At least that's what you'd think, but I have another interpretation. What if it's Sonic doing a spin dash but with a slice taken out of him because Al actually hates Sonic? Yeah, that's what that means. Conan the Librarian is a strange gag in UHF, as unlike the other parodies in the film, CTL is directly based off of an existing IP. How did such a small station get access to such a popular character? Apparently, the original idea was to have Detective Conan from the manga series of the same name. Oh, that's what that was. Sorry, just thinking about another FactsAbout episode. Al got crushed on the set of Amish Paradise during an outtake of the scene where the piece of barn falls on him. In the final version of the video, Al goes through an empty space on the barn and is okay, but when shooting this scene, he kept getting crushed by the barn. This would have killed him except for the fact that he was already eating Twinkie dogs at this point, so he was safe and sound. Al is a FactsAbout denier, states that Weird Al hates FactsAbout and believes that it is lying garbage. I don't know how to feel about this. Apparently, he's even planning on making a song in protest of FactsAbout? Okay, I get he's upset, but, like, why is he getting politics involved in his music? He's just gonna alienate the FactsAbout truthers. It makes no sense. Well, I guess it does make sense. He did beat up that guy, and he did hold off on telling the world about the healing powers of Twinkie Dogs. Maybe Al is a Sonic fan as well. Oh well, I guess on that note, we should probably move to the darkest depths. Backmasking is when you put a message in reverse on a track for people to reverse. Al has done this a few times, such as on the track I Remember Larry, which says, "Wow, you must have an awful amount of free time on your hands." Which is such an insult to your fans. You're gonna make fun of them for going out of their way to reverse your song because they want to hear what you have to say? So fucking entitled. Extraterrestrials is in reference to Al TV, where Al falsely claims that aliens are real by saying that the Hi Bob on the Beatles' White Album is in reference to an ancient astronaut, even though it's clearly in reference to one of the Beatles' friends, Bob. I don't know which one Bob is friends with, if it isn't more, but this is a blatant attempt by Al to start a conspiracy theory to sell more Al tapes. Fucking fraud. The Mysterious Floating Orb is a video made by Al where he shows off his mysterious floating orb and then transforms it into a soup ladle. It is unknown if this ability is linked to the orb or Frankie himself. If it's the latter, why isn't he using these abilities to turn floating orbs into ladles in order to feed the homeless? Fucking selfish. And this guy is the one who's been complaining about starving kids in Japan since the 90s? Fucking pathetic. The Hamilton Polka is a polka medley about the musical Hamilton, a musical created by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who was a longtime fan of Al's and even cited him as an inspiration for the musical. The medley originally released in 2018, with a music video coming out in 2020, syncing up clips from the Disney Plus release of the show to the polka. Thanks for watching Facts About Truthers. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I had a surprise waiting for you at the end. Well, at the end of 2025, the Litter channel issued a poll where you, the viewer, got to vote on what one of the next Facts About videos would be about. And according to the schedule, that video is supposed to be the one after this one, so before we unveil the topic of our next episode, we're going to go over some of the runner-ups, including The Muppets, Elden Ring, Warhammer 40k, Transformers, Gundam Seed, Moshi Monsters, Bakugan, Knights of Guinevere, Ruby, and Old Yeller. Now, on to the fan choice for the next episode of Facts About. It is the Has-Been Hotel and VeggieTales crossover. Huh, are we... Seriously? This has to be a joke. There's gotta be like a secret compartment on this envelope. I guess not. Real funny, guys. Well then, I'll see you all in the next video, I guess.